Hello students, this is Mr. Z, and today we're talking about the respiratory system. This is the body system that deals with gas exchange. We are getting rid of carbon dioxide and we are bringing in oxygen with this system. We're going to go over some of the organs of the respiratory system, and we're going to start from the top of this graphic to the bottom of the graphic. At the top, you will notice where we breathe in through our nose is called the nasal cavity. Where we breathe in through our mouth is called the oral cavity. And if you follow the oral cavity, you'll see this little flap of skin right here called the epiglottis. Because at this point, we can breathe in with our mouth and we can also eat with our mouth. And so there's the possibility of food going into our lungs. And maybe that has happened to you and you have coughed, and because you have gotten some food in your windpipe or in your lungs, as people like to say. And that's because you inhaled food down into your lungs. Now, there is something to prevent that called the epiglottis. The epiglottis closes this flap to your lungs when you swallow. So if you make the muscles that you use when you swallow, everybody try to swallow right now, your epiglottis will close, preventing food from going down into your windpipe here. Again, this little flap of skin, epiglottis. Once we get past there, the opening into the airway that goes to the lungs is called the pharynx. Here we have the pharynx, and the oxygen that we breathe in or breathe out goes through here. And this little area right here, if you put your hand or your two fingers over your throat and you feel vibrations when you are talking, this is the larynx. This is where your voice box is kept. And oxygen also flows through there, or carbon dioxide flows out through there. Then the final passage before it gets to the lungs is called the trachea. This is what a lot of people like to call the windpipe. This is a location if someone is ever choking or cannot breathe. If you've ever seen an infield operation where they cut this open and maybe put a straw so they can breathe in this area. This is the area that they are targeting. And when you see this done in an emergency situation where someone gets a tube put in here, that's called a tracheometry. As we go down the trachea, you see it spreads out into two different arms right down here. Makes actually like an upside down Y. One going to the right side of the lung, the other going to the left side of the lung. These are called the bronchus. These are called the bronchus. These little tubes here that go to the lungs are called the bronchus. The heart is in this picture here, which is not necessarily a part of the respiratory system, but without it, it would not work. They all work together. The heart is part of the circulatory system, but just wanted to mention in this picture that this is the heart, which is basically behind the lungs. These right here, these two lobes right here, this one and this one, these are called the lungs. And as we look inside the lungs, we can see these tubes coming from the bronchus that look like tree branches. These are called bronchioles. So they look like the tree branches. And if you can go with an analogy of a tree, and we see all these little grape-like structures at the end, these are called alveoles. Alveoles is where the gas exchange actually occurs. The oxygen jumps off the alveoles into our capillaries of our circulatory system, taking oxygen throughout your body, giving it to all 3 trillion cells that you have in your body. At the same time, the capillaries are also releasing carbon dioxide into the alveoles. and um, and the carbon dioxide flows opposite, goes through the bronchioles, up through the bronchus, through the trachea, larynx, uh, the the pharynx, and either goes out your oral cavity or your nasal cavity. Way in the bottom, we have a muscle that causes us to breathe. This is the breathing action. Um, when this muscle is relaxed, and it's in the relaxed state right now, it pushes up on the lungs, causing us to breathe out. And then when it's contracted, like when you make a muscle, when it's contracted, it actually lays flat. And when it lays flat, it causes your lungs to bring in oxygen into your body. So this piece is constantly bending up when it is relaxed, and then straighten it up like a straight line right down here when you flex it. And this is all an involuntary muscle, and this happens without you having to think about it. Okay, this completes our segment on the respiratory system, or the system also responsible for gas exchange, getting rid of carbon dioxide and bringing in oxygen into your body, so all your cells have the proper amount of oxygen, and also relieve them of their waste, which is carbon dioxide. One last thing I'd like to mention before we finish this video is that the respiratory system is very closely related to the circulatory system, because they work together to move the blood, which carries oxygen and carbon dioxide throughout the body. And also another system that it works with is the excretory system. And excretory system, which we have not covered, is about getting rid of waste out of our body. Another waste product from all this is water. And if you've ever noticed, when you breathe into a mirror, you can see the fog or the moisture that's coming out of your mouth. And this is another form of body waste. All right, well, now this concludes this video, and we'll look forward to filling in the blanks here. In the next slide, you're responsible for knowing where all these are. All right, thank you.